everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Meg, and if you're new here, welcome. So today is the dupe challenge hosted by Clara Can Do. I will put her page and tag in my description along with the playlist with everybody's videos who are participating in this challenge in my description. I am so excited for you to see what piece I duped and if I could actually do it. So let's get started. Enjoy. So here's the piece that I had picked for my challenge. Now this was a free dresser from a friend. It's a French provincial lingerie chest and it was perfect for what I wanted it for. Now this was my inspiration for this dresser, and this is from Arhaus at $3,000, and it has a beautiful stencil on it. And so I was very inspired by that piece, and so I am going to be working on this one, and I will show you exactly what I did at the very end. So first off, this piece needed a little bit of work, and I filled in some wood filler where the peeling laminate was. I then took off the hardware because I have another choice for hardware, and it's teardrop handles that I have, but I definitely kept those French provincial handles because they're so cute. I then sanded down the wood filler with 220 grit sanding paper so that it was nice and smooth. Now the whole piece, the drawers had a gold line design on them, and it was quite raised, so I sanded all of that off because I didn't want it showing through the primer and the paint. This also was scuff sanding the drawers so that the primer and the paint could adhere. So then I scuffed the rest of the dresser, and it had some crackling on the side from the factory finish. And so I sanded that really smooth so that the cracking wouldn't show through the primer or the paint. I used my sanding discs, 220, and I've also got 320, which I think is what I used for the scuff sanding. Then I sanded the sides of the drawers because, as you can see there's a little bit of the factory paint that they sprayed along the edges there, and I really didn't like it because it looks like I did that and I don't want that showing. So I sanded it down. Even though the sides are MDF, I was able to sand off the paint lines. I just didn't want it looking messy. I then cleaned the entire piece with Crud Cutter and wiped it all off. I filled in the holes with the DAP wood filler because that isn't where the new handles will go, because the new handles will be one drawer pull. Once that was drying, I then sprayed primer on the entire piece except the drawers, because I noticed that the drawers, once sanded, weren't flat, and so I needed them to be really flat so that you don't see the wood filler holes. So while those were drying with the second wood filler application, I wrapped up all the drawers with blue painter's tape, because I'm going to be spraying them with the drawers inside the dresser, as you'll see here, right here. So once the wood filler had dried, I sanded them down so that it was nice and smooth, and then cleaned all the drawers again, and I put the drawers back into the dresser like this, wrapped up still, but I left them sitting out just a little bit so that I could get all of the trim that was in the inside. As you can see here, they're still a little bit open. So I primed all of the drawers, and I did about 2 to 3 coats of the primer, sanding in between each coat. Now I had added a little bit too much water to my primer, so I got a couple of drips, and when you get drips like that, you just have to wait for it to completely dry, and then you can sand them and then prime again, which is what I did with this piece. So once that was dry, I then painted, and I used a mixture of crinoline and soiree, which is an off-white and a beige paint, just so it was a little bit more antique white. And then once that was dry, I sanded with 1000 grit sanding block, and then I went over the edges with some gray paint, and also at the top edge as well. I also used some chalk paste in cocoa, and I sprayed a little bit of water and then rubbed the paste over the edges just so that I could get a little bit of aged look. And I did this with every drawer and the top, and just a little bit on the sides. Here is the top and what that looks like. And then I started off with a stencil. Now this is a stencil by Redesign by Prima, and it's called Distressed Wallpaper. I thought it was perfect for this piece, and it's so pretty. I started rolling it onto the drawers standing up, but I found this really difficult and did end up switching my process for this. And I'll show that very, very soon how I ended up doing it. But I am using a gray paint to roll over the stencil. So once the first drawer was done and I realized that was too difficult to do it that way, I pulled the drawer out, and then I took off the plastic and then just did it this way. It was so much easier. I wiped on the aging first, and then I added the stencil. And here is the stencil. So it was so much easier to do it this way. Much easier. And the stencil is from Redesign with Prima. And again, it's called Distressed Wallpaper. And it's a large stencil, so it covered most of the drawer. And the roller I also got from Redesign with Prima. And the gray paint is Country Chic Paint. This is the chalk paste I was using. So then I did the sides. It was much easier to do the sides standing up than it was the drawers. Once the stencil was on, I then sealed the entire piece by brushing clear coat on it, and then I measured for the drawers. And I had already drilled the holes for the top drawer, but then when I got to the second drawer, I measured wrong and it was a little off. So I filled it with wood filler, and then I painted over it with the stencil, and you couldn't even tell. Then I had my husband help me drill holes so that I didn't mess up again. but the handles I had added onto the dresser and they looked perfect. So here is what it looks like before, and here is my inspiration so that you can take a look again. And it was from Arhaus. Beautiful dresser, beautiful stencil, and here is mine. I was so inspired by that piece and that design, I knew I had to create this one, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I just love that stencil, I love the handles, and I love the overall look. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much to Clara for hosting from Can Do. Check out her page, and I will put all of her details in my description and everything that I used here in this video. Thank you again, and I will see you next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Take care.